Good evening, I'm Prasad Michael and you're watching Kini News, the show that brings you today's biggest stories. At a crucial time in Anwar Ibrahim's political career, as he's trying to form a new government, cops are probing him for sodomy once again. PKR President Anwar Ibrahim spent close to 2 hours being questioned by police at Bukit Aman in relation to 6 separate cases, which include the name list of MPs supporting him and a new sodomy case. Anwar claimed that the police had asked him to reveal the names of the MPs who are supporting him. However, he declined to do so.
And I give fullest cooperation to the police. What is disconcerting and mind-boggling is why the focus on the one-to-one names of members of parliament. So I said I will of course cooperate, but this is an issue that has been presented at least by the presidents of each party that would prove evidently that we have more than 120 MPs. But I'm not here to cooperate with the political masters to give names, because it's not their business, it's between me and His Highness the Agong.
Apart from the nameless, Anwar also revealed that the police are probing him for sodomy yet again.
Ada, tapi ini biasa. Saya lihat soalannya itu pun longgar. Ini hanya satu rencana politik untuk menekan saya dalam saat-saat yang genting seperti ini.
Last month, police recorded a statement from a lawyer known as Ramesh Rao over a purported statutory declaration accusing an opposition figure of sodomy. According to Bernama, the author of the SD, had claimed to have engaged in sexual intercourse with the politician 4 times in 2013. When contacted by Malaysia Kini, the author of the document claimed that he was influenced into producing the document. The author also lodged a police report against Ramesh Rao and Malaysia Today writer Raja Petra Kamarudin, who wrote extensively about the document. Muhyiddin Yassin is looking to hold on to power by offering an olive branch to Umno. Muhyiddin Yassin, who Anwar Ibrahim claims has lost the majority support of lawmakers, has reached out to Umno in an attempt to rescue his Perikatan Nasional government. This was revealed by UMNO Secretary General Ahmad Mazlan. The Pontian MP said Muhyiddin asked for UMNO to state its demands through a letter sent through Bersatu Secretary General Hamzah Zainuddin. This comes as UMNO has expressed discontent over being sidelined in the Perikatan Nasional government following the party's decision to consider quitting the ruling coalition, which would lead to PN's collapse. Ahmad Mazlan told Sinar Harian that Muhyiddin's request was made following a video conference between him, the Prime Minister and Tengku Adnan Mansor. He said during the session, part of the discussion touched on UMNO's new terms for Muhyiddin's government if political cooperation was to continue based on UMNO's Political Bureau's decision to have a written agreement. Ahmad Mazlan, who was visiting his constituency of Pontian today, was also asked if UMNO was threatening the Prime Minister. He merely said this was up to the people to decide. He stressed that there is now a need for a written agreement after UMNO lost the position of Sabah Chief Minister to Bersatu after the state election on September 26th. Meanwhile, Ahmad Mazlan also said that UMNO's Supreme Council will hold an in-person meeting at an undisclosed location in Pahang on Tuesday. He told Berita Harian Online that they chose Pahang for the meeting because Putrajaya, Kuala Lumpur and Selangor are under the Conditional Movement Control Order. This Supreme Council meeting is highly anticipated because it is expected to deliberate on the Political Bureau's decision to review the party's support for PN. No confidence motions against Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin by opposition MPs are pouring in.
Former Prime Minister Dr. Mahathir Mohamad and his allies are renewing efforts to oust Muhyiddin Yassin as Prime Minister. This came as cracks began to appear in the Perikatan Nasional government, with UMNO swaying in its support for the ruling coalition. Mahathir's team, including himself, has filed a total of 5 new no-confident motions against Muhyiddin. The others who filed a similar motion are Kubang Pasu MP Amiruddin Hamzah, Jerlun MP Mukris Mahathir, Simpang Ronggam MP Mazli Malik, and Sri Gading MP Shahruddin Mat Saleh. In a statement today, Amiruddin said that he had sent a letter dated October 15th to the Dewan Rakyat Speaker about a no-confidence motion against the Prime Minister for the coming Parliament sitting. He said this was done to restore the people's mandate in the 14th general election in the face of an incompetent and unstable government. The next Dewan Rakyat sitting is set to commence on November 2nd. Mahathir had previously tried to get his no-confidence motion tabled in the Dewan Rakyat during 2 earlier sessions. However, due to parliamentary conventions that prioritize government motions and bills over those from the opposition. They have not been able to go to the floor for a vote. Amiruddin, Mukris, Mazli and Sharidan are part of Mahathir's group of MPs who were sacked from Bersatu after they opposed Muhyiddin's cooperation with UMNO to form the Perikatan National Government.
Several PKR youth leaders were at the Dang Wangi Police District headquarters today to lodge a report against the Prime Minister. Here's more on that.
PKR's youth wing lodged a police report against Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin this morning. This was regarding the issue of political graft raised in a letter by Tunku Razaleigh Hamzah, which was released on Wednesday. PKR Rawang Assembly person Chua Wei Kian said that Tunku Razaleigh's letter showed that the Prime Minister offered GLC positions in exchange for support.
Beliau ada menyebutkan Perdana Menteri telah menawar jawatan penasihat Petronas kepada beliau yang pernah ditawar kepada bekas Perdana Menteri. Tetapi dia menolak jawatan tersebut. Tapi yang penting adalah dia ada sebut dia adalah bercanggah dengan perlembagaan Malaysia dan tujuannya dia pun ada sebut adalah untuk mengukuhkan jawatan Muhyiddin sebagai Perdana Menteri.
Chua said that they lodged a report to allow for the police to start an investigation as soon as possible. Razaleigh's letter, dated September 25, 2020, was released a day after the Gua Musang MP was summoned to the palace by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong. In the letter, he had urged the Dewan Rakyat Speaker to allow a no-confidence motion against Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin to be debated in Parliament. Razaleigh also claimed that Muhyiddin had offered him the position of Petronas advisor. He declined the offer because he was concerned about Article 48(1)(c) of the Federal Constitution on the disqualification for membership of Parliament if he holds any office of profit. After the PN government came into power in February, the opposition had criticized the various political appointments made by Muhyiddin. They had claimed that this was his attempt to consolidate support for him and subsequently his razor-thin majority in the Dewan Rakyat.
Active cases in Malaysia have reached the 6,000 mark. Here's the country's latest COVID-19 situation.
The Health Ministry reported 629 new COVID-19 cases as of noon today, of which 627 were local cases and 2 were imported cases. The imported cases involve Malaysians returning from New Zealand and Singapore. Out of the local cases, Sabah continues to report the highest number of new cases with 489 infections, followed by Selangor with 50 and Penang with 33. Health Ministry Director General Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah said that the number of COVID-19 patients requiring intensive care is at 99. 31 of the patients required ventilator support. 6 new deaths attributed to COVID-19 were recorded today. 5 of these were reported in Sabah and 1 in Kuala Lumpur. Meanwhile, Senior Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob announced earlier today that a conditional movement control order will be enforced at Kampung Padang Cemas in Baling, Kedah from October 18 to October 31st. Ismail said that the conditional MCO will involve 1,150 villagers from 150 households in the area. He also announced that the Wan Utama shopping mall in Petaling Jaya, Selangor has been cleared to reopen its doors tomorrow, on the 7th day since it was served with a shutdown order to facilitate COVID-19 screenings and thorough disinfection of its premise. The mall's management, in a statement on Facebook, reassured that all of its tenants, management staff, auxiliary police, and security personnel have been tested before being cleared for duty.
Coming up next, the situation in London is expected to get worse as it goes into a stricter lockdown. London, the world's international financial capital, will enter a tighter COVID-19 lockdown from midnight on Friday.
Sadly, the number of Londoners dying every day is increasing again.
London's Mayor Sadiq Khan has warned of a tough winter ahead for Londoners, as their city joins others in Europe heading into a tighter lockdown again to battle a mounting second wave of COVID-19. It comes into effect from midnight on Friday, when the capital moves from the medium to high-risk category under the government's 3-tier system. The move means that people cannot meet other households socially indoors in any setting. for example, at home or in a restaurant, and travel should be reduced where possible. But pubs and bars stay open, as do schools and offices. Critics say the move by Prime Minister Boris Johnson is a balancing act. London is Europe's richest city and a global financial centre, and anger is rising over the economic, social and health costs of curtailing freedoms. The government's former homelessness advisor has warned that families soon won't be able to put shoes on their children. But other opponents have been calling for tougher restrictions and criticized the government for being too slow to act when the virus first struck. The United Kingdom has Europe's highest official death toll of more than 43,000 people. But cases are also increasing across the continent, with about 100,000 infections a day. Paris and other major French cities will be under nightly curfews for 4 weeks starting on Saturday, while Germany hit its daily record of more than 6,600 new cases on Wednesday. It has, however, been less badly hit than the UK, Spain, Italy and France.
Tens of thousands of Thai protesters cheered and chanted into the night in central Bangkok in a show of defiance to a ban on demonstrations.
From shops, offices and schools, they spilled onto a Bangkok street in their tens of thousands, voicing shock and anger, and above all defiance. Thailand's government had announced emergency measures to ban gatherings of 5 or more people to try to end 3 months of protest. The response was one of the biggest demonstrations so far in the heart of the capital. The protests are aimed at the king and the prime minister in the biggest challenge for years to an establishment long dominated by the army and the palace. As night fell, they chanted for the release of some 40 activists arrested this week. Some also called out insult against the king, behavior which until recently was almost unheard of in a country where the constitution says he must be revered. Protests over the last 3 months have been largely peaceful, but that changed after an incident in which protesters jeered Queen Sutida's motorcade as she and the king were paying a rare visit from Europe, where they spend most of their time. Overnight, the government banned political gathering of 5 or more people. The publication of news and online information that could threaten national security was also banned. The government cited the risk of national security and the economy from protest and the danger of spreading coronavirus as reasons of imposing emergency measures. Police have made a number of new arrests: a student leader, a protest leader, and a rights lawyer. They or their representatives all say they face charges over comments in previous demonstrations and speeches. Protesters are calling for a new constitution and a reduction in the power of the king.
And that is all for me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'll be back with more next week, same time, same place. I'm Prasad Michael. Thank you for watching.